right, welcome everyone to the Ophthalmology Foundation's Examinations Question and Answer webinar. We're happy to have you join us today, and we have a full panel of experts and experiences and our team that supports the exam here to give you information and answer any remaining questions that you may have. So today the purpose is to share insight into our examinations and some of our ancillary programs, highlight the opportunities and the impact, and we have a couple candidates here to share their perspectives from taking the exams this last year. We're going to clarify the fellowship application process from the IOFF, and we really encourage broader participation, awareness of what this is about. Talk to your colleagues and your friends and your learners about our examinations, and we're so excited to be here and share more information with you. So just a quick introduction. So the folks here today with us are Carl Golnick, who's one of our board directors, and he's also the chair for our faculty development program, our accreditation program, and helped us launch the exams as well. Luisa Maya, who is our chair for examinations. Rebecca Ford, who is the lead for our visual sciences exam. And Richard Bowman is here by video, and he's the lead for a clinical ophthalmology exam. And then for kind of a regional perspective, we have Rubens Belfort Jr. from Brazil, Ashok Grover from India, and Chiku Matenge from Rwanda, who is also the African Ophthalmology Council president, so she can kind of give a continental view as well. The candidates that I mentioned who are joining us today are Kuku and Fatima Haidari by video for her. And then as far as the team here at the Ophthalmology Foundation, I'm the executive director, Christine Graham. We've got Jody Hicks, our assistant director, doing our tech support on the webinar for us today. Nicola Quilter is the examinations director, and with her are Rosie Hartley and Vicki Glossop as examinations contractors supporting our examinations, and Cordella Gabel Obermeyer, who works very closely with the Ophthalmology Foundation and is from the IOFF, is the executive for fellowships. So those are all the folks here today to answer all of your questions. But first, we're going to provide some information ahead of time so that we can kind of thin out the easy questions. So as far as how things are going to work today, please use the Q&A box, not the chat. The chat is disabled. So for questions that are coming up, clarifications, please use the Q&A box. Some folks will answer questions as we go along, and then at the end, we'll also direct unanswered and new questions to the team to answer. As you probably saw and gave permission, the webinar is being recorded, and that recording will be available shortly, and we'll send out that link to you and also post it on our socials. And certificates of attendance will be provided for everyone who's here today. So a little more specifically, this is our agenda for the day. We're going to do kind of an overview of the Ophthalmology Foundation and our programs, talk about our exams chair and introduce him to all of you. Nicola will provide an overview of the exams themselves, and then we'll get into the process of marking with Rebecca and Richard, regional perspectives from Rubens, Chiku, and Ashok that I just mentioned. Cordella will give a little more information about the fellowships program. We'll bring our candidates in to talk about their experiences, and then we'll do more Q&A until there are no questions left or time runs out. So that is the plan for the day. And so now I would like to introduce again Dr. Carl Golnick. And I believe you have some slides, Carl, so I will stop sharing and let you pop those up.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks very much. Let me share my slides. And there we go. So this webinar is about our exams, but we do more than just exams. And so I think that's the purpose of this overview. Our mission is strengthening ophthalmic education in partnership with eye care professionals with a special focus on low resource and underserved countries. And one of the ways that we're trying to accomplish this is through collaboration of any groups that are interested in our mission. We do have an international board of directors. This is an international foundation, not a US foundation. Sometimes people ask me. You can look at the lists of our board members, which are eminent ophthalmologists from around the world and leaders of industry. We have 4 main initiatives, so 3 other than the international exams, fellowships in collaboration with the IOFF, faculty development, ophthalmology training program accreditation, and the exams. I'm just going to say a brief word about each one. Cordula is going to talk about the fellowship initiatives more, but we offer up to 100 per year. These are for young ophthalmologists from low resource and underserved countries. They're 3 months or 1 year, although most are 3 months and classified more as observerships. There is surgical exposure possible in some centers, and this includes the money to pay basically the expenses of the fellowship participant. Faculty development is the second initiative. The basic philosophy is make better teachers, will make better doctors, will make better patient care. We have a number of initiatives here. I'm going to highlight a couple of them. We have an online teaching series. This is free to anyone that wants it. There are more than 20 modules. These include a whole number of different topics. These are just some of the topics that you can learn about. If you're interested, these QR codes will take you directly to the website page. We have something called Leaders in Education, where we work with either countries or regions and produce multi-year interventions to improve teaching effectiveness. We also present at all supranational meetings, so we have symposia, workshops, and courses offered. So please look us up if you happen to be at any of these. We have a one-to-one mentoring program. So we invite people to become mentees or mentors. And you can go to our website to learn more about this. We also have a group mentoring program where we work with regions or countries on specific projects. A fairly new program of ours is the training program accreditation. Basically, the purpose is to maintain a certain standard of residency training, really to protect the residents' education and protect the public. This is now open to anyone who would like to apply. Again, our website has all the details. We have accreditation guidelines. We have a self-assessment document. We have pilot programs that have been completed. Here's one of them from Mexico with a group that received Advanced Surgical International Training Program accreditation. And the international exams, which is what this webinar is all about. As probably people know, we have 3 exams which will be discussed. We've held 2 so far. There'll be March and September of 26, I believe. We'll hear more about that. So here's our websites, easy to remember, just all one word, ophthalmologyfoundation.org, and you can learn more about all of these programs, and certainly happy to answer any questions. And thank you for your attention. I will stop sharing my slides.
Thank you, Carl. And now I would like to introduce the examinations chair. Carl was our inaugural examinations chair, if you will. And now we have Dr. Luis Amaya with us, and he's going to introduce himself and also, talk about the future of exams and encourage you as potential candidates to apply. Welcome. Oh, and you're muted still.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Luis Amaya. I'm a consultant ophthalmologist based in London, pediatric ophthalmologist at St. Thomas's Hospital. And we have been working with exams for many, many years, more than 15 years. We used to be involved with the International Council of Ophthalmology exams. We think we know everything, and we think we know a lot. But the only way to determine accurate how much we know is by assessing ourselves. And in ophthalmology, we really need to have very solid knowledge to be able to be better doctors and to help our patients adequately and to apply our clinical knowledge or our theoretical knowledge into clinical practice. And that's why we think the exams are so important. And the initiative of the Ophthalmology Foundation to introduce the exams as part of this initiative of improving the standards of eye care throughout the world is very important. The exams will help us to know how we are doing within our peers. It helps us to know how we deal within different residency programs within our city, our country, and abroad. And sitting those exams are going to improve our level of knowledge and care that we can provide to our patients. These exams are very well designed. They are not designed to fail. They are not designed to have tricky questions. If you know your subject, you know the answers, and they have clinical and use those questions to understand better your theory and apply it on your patients. So I really invite you to consider taking the exams, to practice, and to improve. I know many of us hate to sit exams. We don't like it. We feel anxious about it. But the only way to improve our knowledge, the only way to be better doctors is by sitting the exams. We are very lucky to have Nicola Quilter with us. She is outstanding. If you have any doubts, please do reach out. She will be always happy to help, to give answers and provide all the supports you need. Now, failing the exam is not the end of the world, but it's a good practice. And if you fail, you can sit your exam again and improve your knowledge. I won't keep any longer. If any of you would like any further information, please feel free to contact me or contact Nicola, and we will be more than happy to provide any information or any support that you may need. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then, as mentioned, we have Nicola Quilter here with us. So she is going to provide an overview of the examinations.
Lovely. Thanks, Christine, and thanks, Louise. The Ophthalmology Foundation exams are more than just the written tests. They are a globally respected benchmark of knowledge and excellence. They help ophthalmologists at every stage of their career to demonstrate their expertise, gain recognition, and build confidence to deliver better care to their patients. In the next few minutes, I'll just explain what we offer, how the exams work, and why we believe they're such a vital part of our mission. So why examinations? So we run these examinations because they serve critical purpose. They set and maintain high standards in ophthalmology across the globe. They benchmark the knowledge and expertise of professionals at all levels, supporting their career progression. And most importantly, we believe that in turn, the patients receive the best possible care. So what do we offer? The examinations are structured into 3 sections. They're visual sciences, optics, refraction and instruments, and clinical ophthalmology. All use single best answer format with 1 point per correct answer, and you'll be pleased to hear that there is no negative marking. We also offer exemptions from our visual sciences, optics, refraction sections for eligible candidates. The exams are mapped to the BCSC curriculum, and we provide suggested reading lists and materials via our website. In addition, we are also collaborating with CyberSight to create a dedicated preparation portal to support you further. So how do the exams work? The examinations are delivered fully online, making them accessible to candidates wherever they are in the world. Each candidate sits the exam in a controlled room in their own country, monitored also by human proctors who are physically present. On top of that, an advanced AI platform detects any movement, noise, and inconsistencies. The exams are offered twice yearly, as Carl mentioned, in March and September, and are currently available in English, Chinese, French, Spanish, and Portuguese, with Vietnamese being explored. This combination of accessibility, multilingual delivery, and high integrity makes our exams rigorous, fair, and trusted. The benefits of our exams are significant. They're internationally recognised, yet cost less than any comparable exams, and they can be taken in your own country. We also scale our fees based on the World Bank Index, making them accessible and fair for candidates from all regions. Candidates also earn points towards an IR fellowship application that Quilter will be talking about in a moment. And each year, the highest scoring clinical candidate across both sittings, March and September, wins the prestigious $10,000 David and Molly Pyatt Award. Passing off earns the FOIF title, Fellow of the International Ophthalmology Foundation. Hosts also benefit, joining our global community, benchmarking their trainees and receiving honorary FIOF, which after 5 years of hosting becomes permanent. So applying for the exams. When it comes to applying, our tagline says it all. We bring the exams to you anywhere in the world. Candidates apply and make payment easily online through our secure portal. If they don't see your desired location listed, they simply select other and type where you'd like to take the exam, and we do our utmost to accommodate these requests. And so far, successfully managed to do this for the March and September sitting, and are on track to do it again next year. As I said previously, importantly, our fees are scaled based on the World Bank Index, making them fair and affordable. We're not a membership organisation, but our impact is strengthened by partnership. We work with prestigious organisations like Wilmer and Wills Institutes, both in the US, and the African Society of Ophthalmology, COEXA, PAAO, and YOSI. We're building strong relationships also now with the Turkish Ophthalmic Society, Mongolian and Indian societies, and we're continuously seeking new collaborations with societies and organisations to further strengthen our global reach and impact. These partnerships help expand our reach, ensure relevance, and build stronger global alliance across the ophthalmology community. And just to mention about our committee, at the heart of our exams is our International Exams Committee with members from all over the world. As Louise and May mentioned earlier, they have extensive experience within international exams. These ensure that our exams remain globally relevant, fair, setting standards using the Angoff method. Exams are marked online and results are released within 2 weeks, a testament to the team's efficiency and dedication. Our exam last week, we hope to be releasing the results either tomorrow or Friday. So the impact, these exams have already made a real difference. Many candidates in dozens of countries have taken them, advancing their careers and raising care standards. In many underserved regions, they're helping ensure patients receive better ophthalmic care. As one candidate recently told us, passing this exam opened doors they never thought was possible. So looking ahead, we have ambitions for the future. We aim to reduce costs even further and add more partners globally, increasing access to underserved regions and expanding our offering with additional fellowships, subspecialty exams. Just importantly, we listen to our candidates and colleagues. So if you have feedback or ideas that you'd like to share with us in the future, please let us know, because your input helps us to continue to evolve and improve. So just closing, in summary, the Ophthalmology Foundation exams are at the heart of what we stand for, setting and upholding the highest standards of ophthalmology and empowering professionals to grow and improve outcomes for patients around the world. Every candidate who takes our exams becomes part of our global community committed to our excellence in eye care. We're proud of what these examinations have achieved so far, and we as a team are determined to make them even more accessible, relevant, and impactful in the years ahead. So I'd like to thank you for joining us today, and I look forward to receiving your application in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicola. And just to share that point about the travel grant that Nicola mentioned, this is a little more information here. Visit our website and there's all the details there, but the top passing score annually between the March and September sittings wins a $10,000 travel grant from the David and Molly Pyatt Foundation. So we'll hear more about that later on in our candidate experiences, but this is just a fantastic opportunity that we're really pleased to be able to offer candidates and the most successful candidate of the year. And so we're going to kind of shift our agenda a little bit. Professor Rubens Belfort needs to leave a bit early, so we're going to hop straight to him and have him share regional perspectives from South America. So Rubens, welcome. Oh, and you are muted.
Hello.
There.
Okay, thank you very much. It's still good morning, Brazil. I want to address not only candidates, but also medical educators and leaders of ophthalmology. Very often, you can assess the value of product looking who is behind it. And you look at the Ophthalmology Foundation, as Professor Gornick has already mentioned, is an international foundation that has not only the best ophthalmologists in the world, but also leaders of the industry and other segments of the society, okay? And these people is also very good in education. And we believe that education is the way to make ophthalmology better. That kind of exam, as other activities of the Ophthalmology Foundation, are good not only for candidates, not only for residents, but I believe, frankly, that also in South America, but everywhere in the world, it's a good program for medical coordinators to assess their own programs and compare what's done there of what is the world need and what the rest of the world is doing. So for me, as a program director also, this is essential. It's good for my residents. I want to make them go and pass the exam, but it's also good for my staff. So they can compare what we're doing with the others. And for everybody, I believe it's a winning activity. We have Carl Gornick and many other excellent ophthalmologists that are very good also in education. And our task is to prepare for the future and stop doing things that are good just in one nation and in one department and go for what's good for the world, applied to our own reality. So coming from Brazil and the large experience in ophthalmology in Latin America and the whole world, I believe that kind of exam is essential. And I go and I repeat, it goes beyond resident. It's for everybody at the different levels of education process. So congratulations for you who are doing the exam and for who are taking it. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we've got a couple submitted questions that we hope you might be able to answer. And the first is, how do these exams help candidates with their career progression?
Say again, help?
How do the exams help candidates with career progression?
Well, I believe my residents take the program very seriously. Since the beginning of the residence, they know they're going to do it, and we expect them to pass. But most of all, we expect them to have the experience to go through the exam, and they learn it in the process they are doing the exam. And also, we believe, and it's more and more reality, that having passed the exams open up new opportunities for them in professional life. So the residents take it, the residents consider very serious exam, very technically well done, and with all the characteristics that I believe consist in excellent education program.
Thank you. And then the following question that we had for you is, should candidates take the exam solely in English, or should they also select one of the language options to go along with the English?
Well, all my residents are expected to speak English, read English, and have a conversation in English. So for them, would not make any difference. Frankly speaking, I don't know. I never saw the exam themselves. For us, I believe that's also a lesson for the world. Portuguese, English, they go together. And maybe the future will be doing also Chinese. That's a part of education also for the future.
Wonderful, thank you. And I think Carl has another point to input on that.
Yeah, a comment and a question for Nicola. So my understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong, that if you take it in a different language other than English, you can see the English questions as at the same time. Is that right? So you can see it actually in your selected language, but also see it in English. Is that true, Nicola?
That's right. So what we on the application form, we ask for your first language you would like to take it in, and then we ask for a second language. So if your first language is English, you'll see the question in English, and at the bottom of the screen on the left-hand side, you can click a button which will then translate it into your second language, so most candidates apply in English and then select their second language as Portuguese, for example, and then they can revert between the two languages. But it predominantly come up in English if you've selected that first, and then you will translate into Portuguese.
Perfect. Thank you, Nicola. All right. Thank you, Professor Belfour. I know that you have to leave, but we really appreciate your participation and lending your perspective.
I appreciate it. Congratulations again.
Thank you. So now we're going to transition back into kind of the exam process and also talk about marking. So starting us off with that is Rebecca Ford, and she is going to particularly talk about how the exams are developed, negative marking, and fairness in marking. And I believe you have some slides, so I will stop sharing.
I do.
Pop yours up.
Is anything happening? Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Great. Hi everybody. Right, so I'm the visual sciences exam lead, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how the exam is developed and written and why we think it's fair for everybody. So it was really important to develop an exam process that's fair for candidates from all around the world, all backgrounds and all training programs. So it's written by the committee and by question writers invited by the committee. And each paper has a lead examiner who sort of oversees the writing of the questions for that paper. We have 30 examiners on the committee from more than 15 countries. And the rules have been agreed for the structure of the questions, that it's going to be a single best answer, a question stem, and then 4 options, of which only 1 is true. And it's an MCQ format because that allows a broad coverage of the syllabus. The syllabus is picked from the AAO Basic and Clinical Sciences curriculum, which means that it's a well thought out, well devised curriculum that's evolved over many years. And the papers are constructed to make sure that we cover all sections of the syllabus. So as Nicola's already said, the paper is reviewed and then translated. So after each paper is written, it's sent out to the committee to review, to check for any errors or typos, to make sure the style is correct, and also to check that the questions seem like they're the right level, that they're not too easy or difficult. And we have examiners from around the world just making sure that the questions are appropriate and not too hard for people in a specific part of the world. The style is to make the statements and the answers and the stems as clear as possible. So there's no negatives. We shouldn't be asking which one of the following is not something. We avoid using quantities and saying which is most likely, saying things like non-standard quantities like some or most. And we won't have any questions that include things like all of the above. It's single best answer. Only one of them is true, or if it seems like more than one could be true, you just pick the most correct one. And it's translated into the different languages. So one question that comes up is, why don't we use negative marking? There are some pros, some advantages to negative marking. It can discourage random guessing. It improves discrimination between candidates. It actually sometimes makes it easier to set a standard and set a pass mark. And it maintains the exam integrity, by which I mean that it avoids guessing driving up the pass mark, and it makes sure that it's discriminatory between candidates. It also encourages careful thinking. So some people would argue that doctors shouldn't be guessing what we do with our patients, and it encourages people to only answer a question if they are fairly sure that they know the right answer. However, there are some significant drawbacks to negative marking. It tends to increase test anxiety, and these tests are already quite stressful. They're high stakes professional exams. You may be in an unfamiliar setting. You may have spent a significant amount of money on the test. So we don't want it to be, we want it to be as little anxious as possible. Negative marking may also penalise risk-averse candidates, by which I mean we may be giving an undue advantage to people who prefer to take risk, and people who are quite conservative may find it harder to take these exams. And at the end of the day, we want to test your knowledge, not your exam-taking skill or your test-taking gamesmanship. There are also educational philosophy arguments for reduced validity of negative marking, which is mainly that as doctors, we quite often have to make decisions based on not having the full information about something, and that often we're called upon to make to do the best for our patients that we can with the available information. So there may be some philosophical argument for allowing some guessing, because most of the time people are making educated guesses rather than random guesses. Negative marking also makes the scores harder to interpret. So if you're given a score and told you've got 60%, that's quite easy to understand. Whereas if you're told that you've had 45 on a negatively marked test, you don't maybe really know exactly what that means. So it's easier for people to understand. So overall, the decision was to avoid negative marking, mainly because it's an international exam and different cultures may have different attitudes to risk, attitudes to guessing. It seems fairer to all the candidates, and it allows for transparency of scoring and hopefully reduction of anxiety for our candidates. I'm not going to talk too much about the fairness in marking because I think Richard's going to cover it. Apart from say So because we've chosen MCQs, it's very objective. As Nicola says, it's marked by computer. There's no examiner bias. And the same score sheet is used for all candidates in all languages. Everybody gets the same questions, the same correct answers. And the MCQs, by asking MCQs, we can cover a very broad range of topics. I think Richard will talk about the Ankoff method and why that makes it fairer. And just to say, yes, we have a wide panel of experts. I'll let Richard talk about the rest of that. I think that's all I've got to say, really. Can you stop me sharing? There we go. Okay. I can see a question has just popped up.
Christine,
I can't hear anybody else. Do you want me,
Apologies.
do you want me
I
to answer this
did.
question?
So we've got this question for you that came in prior to the exam, and it is if there are
Yes.
any materials available or resources to study for the exam.
So yes, there's a wealth of resources. I think it depends on what you've got access to, but a good place to start would be to look at the OF website, to look at the exams website, which has information about the syllabus, what you'll expect to cover for the exam. It's got some suggested foundational texts, including things like Kansky, Basic Clinical Sciences course, which is really good. I understand that it's quite expensive, so there are some other options listed there that may be more affordable if you need to buy your own textbooks. There's also a lot of free resources and online resources. So there's, as I think somebody's already mentioned, there's the CyberSite resources, which are already brilliant, and there's more in development to try to match the IOFF syllabus. Another thing that I would suggest that people do is if you're struggling with a textbook, if you're struggling with a topic, try to triangulate it. So look at it from a number of different ways. So you could read a bit in a book, look at YouTube articles, at YouTube videos about something, where there's some really great lectures out there. You could do some practice MCQs, and you can do a PubMed search just looking for what's a recent review article on something. The other thing to look at is the MCQ practice sites and books that are out there, because it's often helpful to just test your own knowledge, see how well you're doing, which topics you really need to concentrate on.
if I could add something, Christine, just
Yes, please.
to emphasize CyberSite. So cybersite.org is free. It's got a huge question bank. We are trying to curate the question bank, but I mean, probably the questions are very much like the board questions. I mean, they're written by some of the same people probably. And so I would certainly consider that. And not only that, but CyberSite has a lot of courses and lectures and so on. Everything's free on CyberSite. So I would definitely check it out if you haven't. It's a great resource. I have no financial interest in CyberSite or Orbis.
Well, it's free, so.
All right. And then the second question for you, Rebecca, is how relevant are the exams to someone's practice in ophthalmology?
Well, we think that we're keeping them really relevant. We're trying to use a syllabus that actually relates to the things that we actually do on a day-to-day basis in ophthalmology. But obviously in the visual sciences paper, it is testing the theoretical groundwork knowledge, the foundational knowledge, and then progressing through to the clinical knowledge. But it's an internationally set exam with a robust syllabus that's been benchmarked, and every paper's been looked at by experts from around the world. So we all think that it's relevant. And by studying for this exam, in order to cover that whole syllabus and cover the exam and pass the exam, you will know that you've then learned about all the topics that are relevant to current ophthalmic practice. So I think overall it's very relevant. And then there's also the added benefits of the things like points for your fellowship, your IOFF fellowship applications, and all those things that have already been covered for your career development. One thing I was going to say is that we do have to stress that what it doesn't do is license you to practice. So this is an exam that is showing that you've reached a level of foundational ophthalmology knowledge in the basic sciences and also clinical knowledge. But it's not assessing your practical skills or your clinical skills. So it's not going to get your license to practice in other countries, but it is going to show that you have a high level at an international standard of ophthalmic knowledge. I hope that answers that.
I believe so. Thank you very much. And so now we're going to go to a video from Richard Bowman, who couldn't join us today, but he has prepared something. And he, again, will cover a bit of the marking approach, but also kind of the blueprint for his paper and answering pre-submitted questions, I believe. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I believe Jody is going to pop up the video for us.
I'm Richard Bowman in London. Sorry, I can't join you live for this seminar, but my clinic's in full swing at Great Ormond Street Hospital. I'm a paediatric ophthalmologist and I'm in charge of the clinical exam, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about it to whet your appetite. It's a multiple choice question exam consisting of 160 questions and the time given is 4 hours. It's a straightforward single best answer structure. So each question has 4 options. One is the best answer, and there are 3 plausible distractors. There's no penalty for guessing or incorrect answers. So a correct answer gains 1 mark, a blank or a wrong answer gets 0 marks. And you'll often have a clinical scenario, as we'll see in a minute, followed by a question: which one of the following is the most likely to be the correct diagnosis or the correct treatment, etc. Importantly, here are the subsections covering all aspects of clinical ophthalmology, and then at the end we have slightly shorter sections involving community and public health and general medicine related to ophthalmology. I want to just give you an example of the way we construct questions and what we're trying to test, which is more than just book knowledge, or technically it's called primary knowledge. We're trying to test secondary knowledge. How can you interpret a clinical scenario and apply your knowledge? So let's take the example of Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy, which is most likely to present with which one of the following ways. And then you're given 4 scenarios here, and hopefully you know that the classic presentation of Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy is B, sudden sequential severe visual loss in a young person. So they lose vision in one eye and then a couple of months later the other eye crashes. So straightforward question that you could get the answer out of a book. But in general, we might be more tempted to give you the clinical scenario of a young person presenting with sudden onset visual loss in one eye, and then the same thing happening in the left eye, and see if you recognize that as a classic presentation of Leber's. And so here you're given 4 alternative diagnoses, and Leber's is the best answer. But note here, although the other 3 would be very unlikely to present like this, anterior ischemic optic neuropathy, very unusual in a young person. And multiple sclerosis and neuromyelitis optica can give you different episodes at different times of demyelination, but the sequential visual loss would be uncommon, whereas classic for Leber's. So again, B is the right answer. The actual question as it appears in the exam takes you a level further, because it's asking you to recognize the clinical scenario as Leber's, but also asking about the inheritance pattern, which unusually in Leber's is mitochondrial, so it's a maternal inheritance. And we're asking you to, well, we're checking to see if you know that. And if you do, and you understand what mitochondrial inheritance means, then you'll know that B, again, is the right answer, because disease is inherited through the mother. And she's less likely to be affected than the maternal uncle, simply because Leber's is less common in females. Another quick one. This is a fluorescein showing peripheral vascular closure. And we're wanting to test which children would you do a fluorescein angiogram in. So peripheral vascular closure can be seen in ROP. It wouldn't be seen in Best's disease, which is a maculopathy. So that's a straight primary knowledge thing. Unexplained poor vision, we wouldn't be rushing into a fluorescein angiogram. That would be very low down the list of investigations in an 18-month-old. That leaves you with the pigmentary skin rash, and incontinentia pigmenti is a rare but very important to pick up early disease that can lead to blindness and retinal detachment if this bit of the retina is not lasered, and would present with a pigmentary skin rash. Just an example from the community eye health section, really just to remind you to have some idea of the figures of global blindness and the causes of global blindness and visual impairment, something as ophthalmologists we don't often have a handle on, but there are 10 questions on this. I may be running over time, so feel free to stop me now, but I was just going to talk about the Ryder Cup, which we beat the USA at the weekend. And the players are like the question setters. This exam is written by expert clinicians, but we also have statistical help. This is Dodo Molinari, who apparently helped the European side with lots of statistics about which players work together. And every time we set the exam, we look at how each question has performed, mainly using a statistic called Cronbach alpha, which is a reliability statistic. And what we want to know is that students who get a question right are also likely to do well on other questions. So the performance on each individual question of the 160 should have some correlation with the performance with the other questions. Otherwise, you can't reliably add up a score out of 160. It's like adding apples and pears. So we check how each question fares in terms of its response across the 160, and each time the exam is set, the most reliable questions are recirculated, and those that are unreliable are dropped. So I hope that's been helpful, and happy to take any questions by email.
All right. And so if that generated any questions for you, pop them in the chat, send us an email, and later on we might ping Rebecca to help out answering those questions. But moving along from kind of the exam process itself, we're going to pop back into some more regional perspectives. And I would like to introduce Dr. Chiku Matenge, who is from Rwanda. She's also the African Ophthalmology Council president, and so we'd like to ask her to speak on the African Canada experience and also collaboration with COAXA.
Thank you very much, Christine. I hope you can hear me fine.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So it's a delight for me to talk about the Ophthalmology Foundation exams because as a program director, I do rely a lot on these exams. So I run an exam center, and I also run a school of ophthalmology that's regional. Right now, I have students from 5 different countries, including from as far as the Bahamas. So having an international exam that sets the standard and certifies my candidates is really important for me, and especially for candidates that are going to return to their home countries. So in another role I have is I am part of the standard setting team, and I find that Ophthalmology Foundation runs a very thorough and very inclusive process. And the fact that we have standard setters from across the world kind of gives me the confidence that the strengths and weaknesses of different programs are well balanced. In my experience dealing with Ophthalmology Foundation, because I am a center for many different exams, I would say that one of the things I found very useful was the early notifications, really early notifications about registering for exams or confirming who's registered, giving us very clear instructions as exam center coordinators on what to do and what to expect. I think that the Meritrack platform that is used is very easy for candidates to use. So I'm dealing with candidates from very different backgrounds, but none of them has found the platform difficult to use. And on the exam days, the administrators are very available. So if, for example, the internet drops, the clock stops and the candidates do not have to panic, and that it's very reassuring. The fact that there's a mock before the exam also, it helps everyone to feel very prepared that the systems, the computers will work. For me, I actually ask my candidates to come and watch the mock so that they know how to navigate. How do you move backwards? How do you change your response to a question? And the mock is just, it's a set of kind of nonsense questions that even a primary school candidate can do, but it really helps to know how do you move from one question to the next. How do you know if you skipped a question? I think the inclusion of the mock is really useful. The other thing that I found very useful is the easy and constant communication with the coordinators on the OF side, as well as the Meritrack side. So on the day of exams, there is a WhatsApp group per coordination center, and we have a technician available as well as somebody from Ophthalmology Foundation. And in case of any glitch, they are there to support you. I found that really very, very useful and non-threatening. So anybody can really become an exam center and a coordinator because things are made very, I would say, idiot-proof. Christina, I'll go on to talk about the collaboration with COEXA. So COEXA is the College of Ophthalmology of East, Central, and Southern Africa. And in 2022-23, the Ophthalmology Foundation supported that college to set its own written exams, and COEXA has been running these exams since 2023. But from 2026, COEXA has taken a decision to align with the Ophthalmology Foundation for basic sciences and optics. So basically, the college thinks there is no point in setting their own separate exam because the Ophthalmology Foundation exam is of a very high standard, and basic sciences and optics and instruments don't change wherever you are in the world. So the college has chosen to align with the Ophthalmology Foundation and only run its own clinical ophthalmology exam. So that's going to be the way COEXA will function from 2026. This kind of co-recognition, co-collaboration is very useful. For example, I have candidates who are finishing their ophthalmology training this Friday. They graduate on Friday. And because they have basically sat both sets of exams, they are going to graduate with a double fellowship. They will get the fellowship from COEXA. They will also get the fellowship from Ophthalmology Foundation. I didn't realize how important this was until this class has a majority of international students going back to other countries. And they are finding this a real benefit to them as they start looking for jobs back home. That's all I have, Christine, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, we have two that were pre-submitted. So one is kind of what are the exams for and who are the physicians taking them, which I know you addressed a little bit, and how it affects their practice.
I would say the exams are for everyone. I always encourage my residents to sit them as they sit their regular exams. So in this case, as they sit the exams from my institution or from the local college. And I would say that's the easiest time for a resident to sit the exams. However, I found that also newly qualified ophthalmologists want to sit these exams, and some of the reasons are just that this is an exam that will be recognized across multiple countries, either in the region or internationally, and it facilitates professional migration and kind of demonstrates to their potential employers what their capability is. Another advantage I would say is that when you have an extra international credentialing, it just distinguishes you from your peers. So when they go back home, or even the local ones here in Rwanda, they feel this is something that really makes them look different and shows that they're not just holding the minimal kind of local qualifications. Another thing I would say is that it's nice to validate your kind of specialty expertise, and sitting the Ophthalmology Foundation exam, it's like a commitment to a global standard. And I think that's good. Maybe in future when they're negotiating for higher salary bands, this is one of the things they could use to sell their case. Finally, maybe I would just say, for the individual, it just reflects our kind of commitment and dedication to continuous learning. The fact that you don't just want to do the minimum that you should do, but you are aspiring to something higher, I think that's good. It shows a commitment to excellence. I hope I've answered the question.
Yes, very well. And just one more for you that came up,
Yeah.
which is, how would you distinguish the Ophthalmology Foundation exams, say, from FIBO or ICO?
Yeah. I said I am an exam center for different exams, and part of the reason for that is some of these international students I receive have stipulations that they must sit this exam and not this exam. I would start by saying I think all three are excellent exams. I think the key differences might be the platforms, the purpose, and maybe the target audience. The fact that the Ophthalmology Foundation is an online exam really opens doors for so many, anybody anywhere can sit this exam as long as there's an exam center near you. And that should encourage other program directors to volunteer to become an exam center so that your trainees do not have to travel far. In the last exam, I actually hosted a candidate from Ethiopia. I think candidates should have centers close to them. I think being online actually improves the security of the exam. I always feel nervous receiving papers, and I just think that it's a more secure exam. The post-nominal that you get, the fellow of the International Ophthalmology Foundation, you get this after sitting the clinical ophthalmology paper, which is slightly different from other exams. So you have to sit 3 exams and you get the post-nominal. So that's what my current batch of graduates is going to enjoy. I think FIBO maybe targets more the European market, but Ophthalmology Foundation is a truly global exam. And I'm sure that having the fellowship will have some advantage when you apply for fellowships. I know it does that for the IOFF fellowships, but perhaps other people who offer fellowships in future will also recognize this exam as advantageous.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So if folks have more questions for Dr. Matenge, you can pop them in the chat. We'll try to answer them. But moving on, we are going to also speak with Dr. Ashraf Grover from India about benefits to Indian candidates, the Young Ophthalmology Society of India partnership, and the regional relevance in India of our exams.
Thank you, Christine. I will start by sharing my screen. So first of all, it's a great pleasure to be a part of this symposium and this question answer session. It's because my association with this team, which is carrying out the Ophthalmology Foundation examinations, has been for over a decade and a half. And I've found this to be extremely gratifying because I've been working with a team that is very professional, very thorough, very meticulous in what they do. And the confidence that I have in the quality of examination that they produce is so good that this is what I recommend to all our postgraduates and our residents. So I'll briefly recapitulate some of the advantages that have been spoken about the examination by the previous speakers, and then I'll talk about the South Asian and the Indian experience. So the online format has added a new dimension to the exams that were internationally available, as Chiku just pointed out, and their worldwide availability at a center near wherever you are. They're very comprehensive exams which cover the curriculum very well, and it covers the ophthalmology knowledge spectrum rather well. And you get a recognized international certification, which is increasing in the value that it carries. And most of all, the OF team is very helpful and provides all the help and all the resources on its website for you to prepare for the exam. Of course, the fellowships that the foundation offers are very large in number, offers them in all subspecialties and in different parts of the world to fit your choice, your subspecialty choice. And passing these exams help you to earn points towards your qualification for the IOFF fellowships. The post-nominal has already been spoken about, and the OF is also working for exemption policy for exams with similar standards, and you'll very soon hear about them. The curriculum is something that all residents are familiar with because many of them in India follow American Academy of Ophthalmology's basic and clinical sciences for their preparation for their national exams. And this is something which is a very contemporary content and is revised very frequently to keep up to date and carries all the recent evidence that has been created. And since the candidates are familiar with the BCSC, they are able to get very easily into the OF exams. And the partnerships with reputed institutes like the Wills and the Wilmer are another benchmark that helps people have confidence in this examination. Now, how has this examination been relevant for the Indian candidates? One and foremost, I think, is that they get the confirmation of their knowledge and ability. So we want our residents to appear in these exams early on in their education and their residency so that they learn these subjects well and that they can be sure that they have prepared these aspects well. So this validation of one's qualification in an international perspective is one major plus which Indian students look for. We've spoken about the advantage that it gives for subspecialty fellowships, and this is the most important reason why many would take this exam, because they find that they want to go into subspecialty fellowships abroad. And of course, for the FIOF. The number of candidates have increased from first to the second exam, and we're going to see this trend increasingly, which shows the exam is being respected and is being looked at by the Indian candidates. The collaboration with Young Ophthalmologists Society of India, who are the ophthalmologists under the age of 40 years and those who are in training, is a very positive step, because this is the generation which is going to take benefit of the OF exams. And this is a society with 2,700 members and very active in all the programs that it is running, involving the young ophthalmologists in various productive educational activities. So their collaboration with OF is benefiting both the organizations immensely. Lastly, a few words about how the candidates can be more sure of achieving a success with these exams. They should choose to appear at the right stage of their training. They must know very well about the examination process. Today's talks by all the speakers would have helped them gain that knowledge, and a well thought out and planned preparation holds the key to giving you the confidence and to be relaxed during your exam. And that is what is needed for you to achieve success. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to express my feelings about this wonderful exam. I'll stop the share. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we had a question come in prior to the webinar, and that is, can these exams lead into the OCAT exams in India?
So the OCAT exams were introduced recently, and they are essentially the ophthalmic knowledge assessment tests introduced by AIUS, with the intention of providing the candidates with a marks standard for being able to apply for the fellowship exams, and again as a validation of their knowledge. And preparation for the OF exams is a very good way of getting ready to go into the OCAT exams. OCAT exams are somewhat different in that they have three components. One is the foundational one, second is the clinical knowledge, and third is the clinical skills. So the clinical skills are also a part of those assessments, for which the candidate needs to prepare additionally with his adequate clinical work.
Wonderful. Thank you. Very helpful. And
Ashok, your last photo must have been northern India, where it gets cold with the penguins. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was Antarctica in its fullest glory.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for sharing information for folks who are in India and seeking more details about how it's relevant for them. We've heard the fellowships mentioned a few times at this point, and so now we're going to provide you a little more details rather than just dropping that there is a fellowship program available. So to speak to us on that is Cordula Gabel-Obermeyer. She is the executive for fellowships at the International Ophthalmological Fellowships Foundation, also known as the IOFF. We know that IOFF and OF, for Ophthalmology Foundation, are very similar, so we understand if it gets jumbled, but she is from the IOFF and is here to tell us about the fellowship program and some key application steps, and will also be available for follow-up questions. So Cordula, very good to have you here.
Thank you very much for introducing me. I would like to share a very short presentation on my program, which is here. So can you see my slides?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, so the EOFF-OF Fellowship Program is an invitation for young promising ophthalmologists from low resource and underserved countries to go abroad from where they are based, and who wish to excel in their skills in their subspecialty on an individual basis. So candidates for our program can apply for financial support to help cover their expenses for return, round-trip travel, and student-style living expenses in the host country. Generally speaking, the most common opportunity is the 3 months EOFF-OOF fellowship program, which is available in all subspecialties. We have around 100 awards per year. Then we have the 1-year EOFF-OOF fellowship, which is sponsored by the Retina Research Foundation, a big US-American association. It is also available in all subspecialties. Then as 2 extras, we have the 6 months fellowship in retinoblastoma, which we offer in collaboration with the Eye Cancer Foundation. And we have, as a very special opportunity, we have the 6 months EOFF-OOF fellowship in research, which supports a continuation of an ongoing research project at an international host center abroad. The EOFF-OOF fellowships are meanwhile taking place in 29 countries in about 98 host centers, which are big tertiary units or university eye clinics. And so far until today, more than 360 awardees have come from 64 home countries and served the training. So the countries that are marked in red actually are the countries that are host countries, whereas the countries that are marked in yellow are the countries where we have our candidates from, and the ones in red and yellow, we call them so-called hybrid countries. These are countries where we have host centers but also have fellows from. What is the application process for an EOFF fellowship, EOFF-OOF fellowship? So please gather information from our website, which is www.ioff.org. Please fill in the online application form and upload the requested documents, and then submit for the eligibility determination. Requested documents actually are a scan of your passport, a recent picture portrait, your specialist in ophthalmology degree certificate, and 2 recommendation letters. Pay very special attention to your answers regarding motivation, expectation, and impacts to gain from the program. Then submit. After you being determined eligible, you might choose and contact your preferred host from the EOFF host network, and you will send your application summary to that person in the host center. We usually suggest to do a short interview with the host so that you can find out if the host can support what you want to learn. And after that, the host has got some time, so usually 1 or 2 weeks to decide if he or she wants to support you for your fellowship program, and to suggest a start date, and then to return the duly signed host notice of acceptance form to yourself. Once the host notice of acceptance form has been submitted to us, we will process your application file for experts review and for funding decision. We have 2 application deadlines a year for the 3 months program, which is January 31st, 2026 and July 31st, 2026. For the 1-year program, we have 1 application deadline a year, which is July 31st, 2026. And there are no application deadlines for the 6 months program, as we will decide about funding individually. Eligible candidates actually hold national reserved countries. Ideally, they are 40 years of age at the time of submitting the application. However, we are interested in finding candidates whose training would make a major difference to the home institution, so we are a little flexible when it comes to the age limit. Our candidates have completed residency training and have obtained their specialist in ophthalmology degree. And as I mentioned before, they come with recommendation of previous and present chair. Of course, and very important, we strongly recommend to sit the Ophthalmology Foundation examinations as we consider these in our assessment for our program. Ideally, our candidates hold a public services or a teaching position so that the home institution can benefit from the multiplier effect. Our candidates are committed to resume their position after the training to apply the newly acquired skills and knowledge. The majority of our EOFF OF fellowships is classified as observership, and there is no curriculum which we offer in every subspecialty, as the educational level in subspecialty training through the countries is very different. And so we want to bring every candidate from his individual level of expertise to a higher level of expertise. Of course, female ophthalmologists are strongly encouraged to apply with us. So what is very important for you to know is how many credits do we give for passing the OF examinations in our assessment for the fellowships program. So out of 37 credits altogether, we give 2 points for the passing the visual sciences certificate examination. We give 4 points for passing the optics, refraction, and instruments. We give 6 points for those who have done the visual, the optics, and the clinical ophthalmology examinations, and we give an additional of 2 points for every distinction or merit. So as you can see, 8 points maximum out of 37 is really a good, a good relation. Here you can see our host network, which is very important. Our host network is, you can find it on our website, and it is searchable by subspecialty, by host institution, or also by city or country. And clicking on the host institution's name actually brings you to a detailed database for every of the host institutions. That was it from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. If you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. I very much look forward to receiving your questions, your requests, and of course, your applications. Thank you very much. Please let me know if you've got any questions at the moment, and I'm happy to answer to these.
Great. We have a couple that came in advance for you, Cordula. And the first is, do we get any opportunity for short-term subspecialty training in case we qualify the exam?
So if you qualify, if you sit the exams and have passed them successfully, then we will consider the examinations, as I mentioned before, in our fellowship assessment process. It does not necessarily lead to sitting the exams does not necessarily lead to a fellowship, but it pushes your application strongly and supports it very well.
Thank you. And then the next question we had was, what title do I get after I complete the examinations? Is it a fellowship?
So if somebody has set the OF exams, the clinical examination that will lead to the Fellow of the Ophthalmology Foundation, our the EOFF OF fellowship program actually does not lead to a title.
Thank you. And then that is what we had in advance. If there's more questions that come into the chat, feel free to answer. And then at the end, Vicki will help direct us to any that didn't get answered. So now we are going to move on to, yes, you're welcome. Thank you. We're going to move on to some candidate experiences. And starting, we are going to talk to, oh, there we go. Cuckoo Pretzeo sorry for mispronouncing your name. And the story of taking the March exam and possibly the September, if you want to share, and kind of the emotional learning and preparation for the September exam. So welcome.
Yes, thank you, Christine, for your very nice introduction. Good morning. Thank you for having me to share my experience in taking these examinations. Having established my ophthalmology practice almost a decade ago, I recognized earlier in my residency era that taking international examinations is quite important. While national board examinations is practically accessible in my country, Indonesia, it's also a standard, but pursuit to international certification represents a distinct, a very specific level of professional development, a path that less traveled by many ophthalmologists or residency in Indonesia. Following my graduation, I began undertaking international examinations like ICO for basic science and visual optic, and fortunately it is accepted by IOF. So I need to take another clinical ophthalmology test on March. Unfortunately, I didn't pass the test actually, so it was a little bit a setback for me. So I need to overcome my emotional uh, cause for that. So I take another examination on September. Finger crossed. I hope I can pass the test. Actually, I didn't receive the result by now, but I hope I can be successful on that. This year, marking my 10th year as an ophthalmologist, I focus on my clinical ophthalmology examinations. Though seeing my career as ophthalmologist, I hope if I can only turn back the time, I wish I could take these examinations earlier in my career. So I saw it is spoken a while ago that it needs a certain stage of ophthalmology knowledge that we need to represent on the specific examination. So if I can just take basic examinations on my second year of my residency, and then I take the visual optic after that, and by my graduation, I take the clinical ophthalmology, I guess it will be a lot easier for me to pass the test. So I hope that my 10-year ophthalmology is not very late to take the examination, and I hope I can successful on that.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Kristen.
Yes, thank you for sharing. We did have one question come in for you. And so that was, do you have advice on how someone could prepare for the exams as a younger doctor?
Yes, like I said that I wish I can take the examination as early as possible. So when you studying about the basic anatomy and physiology, you can take the basic visual science, and then when you learn about optics and reflection, you can take the visual optics, and then by the end of the residency, I hope we can all just simply take the clinical ophthalmology. So taking these examinations earlier, it means that we can pass the examinations earlier, and we can take as many advantages as we can by taking the possibility of fellowship. And so, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think that will be very helpful for folks to hear. And thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you. And so now we're also going to hear from Dr. Fatima Haidari. She can't join us today, so she has submitted a video, but she's going to talk about her preparation tips and excitement about that travel grant from the David and Molly Pyatt Foundation that we mentioned earlier. So Jody is going to pop up her video, and we'll see what she has to say.
In the name of God, hello everyone. My name is Fatima, and I'm delighted to share that I recently passed the Ophthalmology Foundation International Examination with distinction. As a consultant ophthalmologist with more than 15 years of clinical experience and as a university lecturer in vision science and ophthalmology, this achievement has been both a professional milestone and a reminder of the importance of lifelong learning preparation. When preparing for March 2025 examination, I followed a structured and focused study plan. My two main resources were Kansky's Clinical Ophthalmology 2025 edition, which I found invaluable for its clear clinical insights and images, and the American Academy of the Ophthalmology Basic and Clinical Science course series 2024 to 2025 edition, which provided an excellent foundation and evidence-based guidance. My preparation was mostly self-directed. I dedicated time each day to revision, often studying alone to maintain focus and consistency. I didn't attend formal courses or group sessions. Independent study suited my learning style best. Exam experience. The exam itself was well balanced, testing both theoretical knowledge and clinical judgment. I particularly appreciated the scenario-based questions, many of which were supported by slit lamp photographs, fundus images, or ocular motility diagrams. These really tested not only what you knew, but how you would apply it in real-world practice. The online format was very convenient and accessible. I found it to be smooth and well organized, and it allowed me to take the exam without the added stress of long distance travel or logistical challenges. Challenges and motivation. Like many colleagues, my biggest challenge was time management, especially balancing clinical duties with exam preparation. What helped me most was setting a consistent schedule and treating revision as a professional commitment, not just an optional extra. I also built on my existing knowledge base rather than trying to start fresh, which made the process more efficient. What kept me motivated was the desire to stay at the forefront of ophthalmic practice, ensuring that my clinical decision-making reflects the latest evidence. The image-based and the dynamic nature of the exam also made preparation stimulating and relevant to day-to-day practice. I'm also very excited about the outcome of the travel grant. I believe this grant will provide an excellent opportunity for candidates to gain international exposure, broaden their professional network, and further their development in ophthalmology. Advice to younger self. If I could go back and give advice to my younger self about career progression, I would say embrace continuous learning early, but also be patient with the process. Medicine, and ophthalmology in particular, is a lifelong journey. Don't rush, but stay consistent. Stay curious and always look for opportunities to grow. Advice for trainees and closing. For those following in similar footsteps, my recommendations would be start early and be consistent. Steady, focused preparation beats last-minute cramming. Understand concepts, not just facts, especially in clinical decision-making. Use images extensively. Practice interpreting clinical photos, visual feeds, and instruments. Do not overlook the WHO definitions and epidemiology. They are frequently tested but often underestimated. And most importantly, think clinically, not just theoretically. This exam rewards practical, real-world reasoning. In closing, I hope these reflections are helpful to colleagues preparing for Ophthalmology Foundation International Examination with the right resources, and a clear strategy and commitment to lifelong learning, success is absolutely within reach. Thank you, and I wish all future candidates the very best in their preparation and their career in ophthalmology.
Wonderful. So I hope that folks found that enlightening and, take her advice to heart. There's some good tips in there for preparing for the exams and approaching lifelong learning. So we're now going to start the live Q&A section. So no more prepared questions, that came in advance. So pop your questions in the Q&A, and Vicky is going to help me out with those questions, and we will direct them to the proper folks. So we will start that now. What have we got in store?
So we have one question in the chat Q&A. When will the winner of the grant be announced?
Nicola, are you able to answer that?
Sure, we actually do know who it is, but I can't tell you at the moment until we announce the results, which I hope to be able to do tomorrow. So we will put an announcement on our social media that the results are available. Within the next few days, they'll be uploaded to your online portal so you can access them yourself. But as of midday UK time tomorrow, if you did want to email us, then you can, and we'll respond with your results. We will need your full name, your date of birth, and where you took the examination to be able to issue those.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next one is, do you have any programs for short observantships, 1 month, either hand on hand or hands off, for last year residents of ophthalmology?
Cordula, do we have any opportunities for residents, folks who have not obtained their subspecialty qualifications, or specialty qualifications, excuse me?
Actually, for the EOFF fellowships program, I'm very sorry, we don't have any opportunities for residents. I mean, if somebody wants to apply with us, having already been recognized as a specialist in ophthalmology, no problem. Also, if somebody's still a senior resident, it's no problem either. But for residents in the easy way, I'm sorry, we don't have any opportunities available.
Thank you. That's good clarification for people to know. You need to complete your training or be close to completing it before you apply.
Another question, is there any exam centres in Kenya?
Not at the moment, but we are working on establishing a centre there. However, if you'd like to apply for Kenya, the application form is open online on the portal. So if you apply and then select other, type in Kenya as your desired location, then we will do our best to make sure that that's in place for March.
To follow up on that, Nicola, if you do have candidates in areas where we don't currently have centers, has there ever been a time where we weren't able to locate one for them?
No, we have managed to place everybody in their desired location. I think we were looking, actually, I'm based in the UK, as some of you know, and we were looking for a centre in Scotland. And I think we managed to do that with the help of David Pyatt within 2 days before the exam. So sometimes it's slightly delayed, but we will actually do our best. And also, if you have a desired location and your senior ophthalmologist, your senior professor or head of department are happy to facilitate, then obviously put their name forward and we can liaise with them, because actually we're finding that that's, it's easy for the candidate that's in their own institution. They know the computer system, they're familiar with the location and the host. So actually that kind of works out well as well. And we had some of those that were put in place for this September exam.
Wonderful. That's great news. So people don't really need to worry too much if there isn't already an available center locally, because it sounds like the team will do everything they can to get them accommodated.
Yeah, that's right.
Great.
Center in French-speaking Africa.
Could you
Sorry, I
repeat
missed that first bit.
Yeah, we missed the first section.
Examination Centre in French-speaking Africa.
Is there a particular country mentioned, or?
It says in Africa. So
Yeah, we have several centres. We have one in Cameroon at the moment under Henry Ngumbe. And yeah, we obviously offer the examination in French also. So again, like Carl said, you can select English or French, use your first language, and then it'll be presented. You can flip between the two. But yes, we do have centres in French-speaking Africa, and we're looking forward to expanding that as well.
Great. Thank you.
we have another question. Is there any collaboration between the Ophthalmology Foundation and FRCS or expected to be in the future?
Another one for you, Nicola.
Yes, we are exploring that. We've had several meetings and several positive conversations. We are hopefully heading to Glasgow to speak with the college of in Glasgow in November. And we offer exemption policy at the moment. So we recognise that those exams are equivalent to the standard of our exams. So if you have passed Part 1 and B of the college exams, and we do exempt you from our visual and optics, so you can move directly onto our clinical, and they are interested in a reciprocal agreement. So fingers crossed that's moving forward and in the right direction, and we hope to have something in place soon.
Great, thank you. Any others that we need to answer, Vicky? Oh, you're muted.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Maybe one for Cordula. I already hold an IOFF fellowship in cataract surgery. Can I apply for another fellowship after passing the IOFF exams?
So yeah, he wants to has already done a 3-month fellowship, which is the cataract surgery one typically. Then this person may apply for the 1-year fellowship after about 2 years of a waiting time.
But they can't, just to clarify, they cannot take another 3-month fellowship after having already received one.
Yes.
Okay.
But of course, this person may also apply for the 6-month fellowship in retinoblastoma or the research fellowship that we offer.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
One question that we've received a lot of online prior to the meeting and live is, which exams are they exempt from if they've completed ICO basic exams?
All right.
So the Ophthalmology Foundation recognised the ICO Visual Sciences and Optics and Refraction exam prior to and including 2022. So anything after 2022, unfortunately, the OF does not recognise. So that will exempt you from the OF Visual and Optics, which will allow you to move directly onto the clinical ophthalmology exam with us. There is a point on the online portal application where you can now upload your certificates. So if you have been successful in the ICO exams, you can upload when you're applying for the clinical OF exam, so that they're visible and that we can see them, and then we can process your application much faster.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have 2 questions left. Sorry. When are you starting the subspecialty exams?
Subspecialty exams, it always comes up.
Great question.
Yeah.
We have done a lot of research on this recently, and we have sent out a questionnaire, which we had a great response to. There is a lot of enthusiasm internationally for subspecialty exams, and we believe as an organisation a gap in the market. So we are exploring that. We are looking at running and starting 2 subspecialty exams next year. Topics yet to be decided, but likely to be in retina, possibly glaucoma, and they will be in place for September 2026. If you have any comments on that, or you have any questions or input, it'd be greatly appreciated. We can receive that via email or on here. But yes, we are looking into it, and we will hope to have something up and running later next year.
Very exciting, thank you.
And the last question we have is, does COEXA fellowship exempt somebody from any of the exams?
So
sorry, a COEXA fellowship, did you say?
Yes, so the question is, does COEXA fellowship exempt one from the exams? So from the visual and optics.
Chiki, are you able to answer that question, please?
If I understand it, it's someone who's already qualified, has a COEXA fellowship. The exemption depends on when they sat exam, or first of all, whether they sat COEXA written exams. There was a time when COEXA didn't have written exams. In that case, you would have to write the written exams from the beginning. But if you got a COEXA fellowship, say this year, and you had already sat some of the COEXA written exams, then you would be exempt from basic sciences and optics and refraction. But you still have to sit the clinical ophthalmology.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chiku. That's very helpful.
There was one other question about the GMC registration.
Yes.
Yeah, I can answer that. That's for UK GMC registration. No, it won't make you eligible for GMC registration, and the reasons for that are severalfold. Firstly, that at the moment it's only UK-based exams in English, because the other exams that give exemption are used because they involve both a UK standard of practice and a UK standard of English. So it's something that I guess in theory we could apply for in the future, but the candidates would have to, I don't think it would ever happen actually, because you would have to prove that you'd sat a clinical exam as well in English. So I don't think that's ever going to be relevant to this exam actually.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think that wraps us up for pending questions. So folks, want to learn more or dig in or, reach out directly. Here's our website, the email to reach the exams team. Send them your questions. If you're having issues registering, reach out to them. Follow us on social media. You may see this recording posted shortly. And then this QR code will direct you to all of our goodies. Additionally, if you have further questions about the fellowships program, go to the IOFF website that's listed here at the bottom and reach out to Cordula directly. This is her email. She is very attentive, as is the exams team, with any questions. So really, if you guys are encountering any issues or have a niggling question that's very specific, please reach out. Don't get blocked, and we'll do our best to accommodate you. And thank you everyone so much for joining us today. So we hope you register for the exams if you haven't already. The applications for the March exam close in January, so you have a few months to decide, but sooner the better, because then you can start preparing and really get yourself ready for March. Nicola, do you have any closing comments you want to share before we wrap up?
No, just thank you for everyone that joined today. Thank you to the team of panelists. As Christine said, the application process is open for March. If you have any questions or you need help on the online portal, then just let us know. And we look forward to receiving your application.
Yes. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, both panelists, as Nicola said, and participants. And have a good day, everyone.